I think I'm speaking as part of a generation of human minds and geniuses that really have barely experienced apartheid. And I say this because we've certainly been affected by it. There's no doubt about that. My contention is that we've not been hypnotized by it. Unlike previous generations, ours is a generation which is largely disenthralled with apartheid discourse. We're also a generation which seems to have been dumped into a context of cultural uncertainty. And because of this, we've had very little opportunity, very little time to develop faith in anything. And I think this is a good thing. I think this is a miraculous thing. Because we've had very little time to develop faith in political leadership or civil ideology. We've had very little time to develop faith. Now, faith inherently is something that is incontestable. It is the great tradition of accepting the status quo. It's the great tradition of allowing the things that we take for granted to remain unchallenged. It's the great tradition of accepting the order of things. Now, the problem for democracy, for democratic transformation, for democratic transition, for democratic debate, has always been the great tyranny of faith. Now, our generation's faithlessness, our unbelief, our uncertainty, I think provides us with a capacity to continually question the order of things, to question the way things are done. You see, we've been provided with a very rare opportunity for cultural invention. And I think this stands us in very good stead, because it's my firm belief that it is our generation which has been tasked with righting the injustices of the past. So it's with this mindset, this critically questioning mindset, and as a part of this generation, which I would like to speak to you today about the capacity of architecture to critically contribute to the rapid social change we're currently experiencing in South Africa. My contention is that architecture is a force for serious and important social change. It can no longer be the space of the servant of the rich, nor the space of the barefoot philanthropist. It must be a space in which we can critically contribute to the outcomes of the types of change we would like to see take place in South Africa. Now, I work for a firm run by a really very smart man called Heinrich Wolff, and he's profoundly influenced my thinkings. And we're practiced in Cape Town, and Cape Town is a miraculous place to study architecture. It's wonderful and lovely. I mean, I think, to quote the immortal and oft karaoke genius that is Guns N' Roses, the grass is green, the girls are pretty. This really is Paradise City. I'd have to argue, though, that it is only Paradise City for very small and very privileged oligarchy. Our cities are infamously undemocratic in the sense that they very rarely provide to their citizens even remotely similar access to urban services and to economic, educational, and social opportunities. Now, this characteristic of our cities is hardly surprising when one considers that for over half a century, South Africa experienced one of the world's most successful architecturally driven, and that's important, we experienced one of the world's most successful architecturally driven segregation strategies. Now, it was a strategy of dumping the poor working urbanite on the periphery of the city. And worryingly, it's a strategy that persists in our current government's housing strategies. Now, for the past 2 decades, we've been trying to dismantle apartheid. And now, however successfully we've managed to dismantle the apartheid political system, the apartheid city stands as strong as ever. An example of this is the fact that the closest I get to coming into social contact in my city with a poor black working urbanite is in my car at 120 k's an hour driving to the airport. Now, this is unconscionable, this is unacceptable. The limitations which these settlements, our cities, place on the personal freedoms of its inhabitants are so severe, these limitations are so severe, that they negate almost completely our hard-won political freedoms. So, while Switzerland's gift to modernism was Le Corbusier and Ronchamp, whilst Brazil's gift was Lina Bobardi and her immaculate and imaginative mind, whilst India's gift was one of the greatest architects in the history of the universe, Laurie Baker, and his conscious efforts to solve the housing crisis in India post-revolution. And Mexico's gift to modernism was Louis Barragan. South Africa's contribution to the modernist movement was the apartheid city. This is a picture, an aerial photograph of the Great Divide in Stellenbosch. Now you can see the segregation clearly in that aerial photograph. Now, it is definitely the apartheid city that is by far the greatest and most successful and most terrible of the modernist projects, and it has profoundly influenced my beliefs. I believe in the capacity of architecture to greatly influence the lives of the people who inhabit it. I also believe, as it happens, in the capacity of beauty to remind us of the potential of the human spirit. Today, I hope to share with you a few projects that will convince you that we are passionately interested in and deeply committed to contributing to the outcomes of the types of social change we would like to see take place in South Africa. Thus, we claim passionately for architecture the rights to be both autonomous as well as socially engaged. Now, the first project is a school in the township of Dunoon called Inkwinkwezi. Inkwinkwezi translates to the morning star. Now, during the design process, the team did research into educational practices in South Africa, and it was found that the principal was spending roughly 60% of her time chasing after kids who were skipping class. Now, this translates into the fact that the most highly paid, probably most intelligent member of staff is spending 60% of her time on some of the most banal, silliest activities. Now, in order to help the principal, the school was designed around a central courtyard, which could be easily and passively surveillanced. Now, with this design decision, the principal can now spend her time on academic matters. But designing one central space for 1,200 learners is a difficult thing to do. One has to provide space for learners of different energy levels, different genders, different interests, different ages. This is a very difficult thing to do. And so the edges of the courtyard were developed into a series of balconies, into a series of alcoves and stairs, in order to facilitate social engagement between these different groups of students. Now, the classrooms were also designed never to look out over this very busy courtyard in order to facilitate classroom concentration levels. Now, schools can also excel if they can generate additional income in order to supplement their state subsidy. In Dunoon, one of the easiest ways in which to generate this sort of income is through the rental of large spaces to gospel churches and to wedding ceremonies. And in order to make the school attractive to clients like these, the school hall was designed with a very ambiguous, almost church-like character. There are now 6 churches that rent out this hall over the weekend. Now, the impact which these measures have had on improving academic performance, naturally with a huge buy-in from staff and parents, has been immense. During the first year of taking occupancy of the building, the matric pass rate went from 40% to 70%. It now stands at 82%. In a class of 240 matriculants, that translates into the fact that when 96 students used to pass, now almost 200 pass. In environments where the matric pass rate stands at 40%, in context of serious deprivation, architecture can and must contribute to making a better world. It must contribute to the outcomes of the types of social change we would like to see take place in South Africa. Now, the next project is a project done in my personal capacity. Now, the current sanitation policy of providing single-unit toilets in the township is not only ineffective in providing quality sanitation to the townships, but it seems also to be actively contributing to the amount of rape pickups in these areas. Now, an architecture which seems likely to be contributing to such horrors is unacceptable, it's unconscionable. But if an architecture is capable of contributing to such terror, it must be capable of contributing to things that are right and things that are good. Now, this design looks at the potential of creating a civic, safe architecture from the need to provide sanitation to the townships. Now, the toilet building is very similar to those built around or traditionally built around school sports grounds in South Africa, in that it is built to serve an existing public space. The difference is that the facade facing the public space is built as space brick, what we call a jolly wall. And this allows the bathroom to be passively surveillanced from the public space while still providing a degree of privacy to the user. This threshold also allows the citizens to access water from both the inside and the outside of the building. Now, an architecture must always contribute physically to its context. And so this building occupies the southeasterly corner of the site in order to shield the public space from the harsh summer wind. Also, it provides perimeter seating to the public space in order to activate the public space so that the toilet, again, can be more easily and more efficiently surveillanced. Now, with the lack of public space in the townships, civic space is a very scarce resource and must be used effectively. Now, by lighting the public space, we not only allow for the public space to be used more effectively, but we also have a direct impact on the safety of the toilet. So by making a successful architectural intervention around a toilet, we not only have an effect on the quality and quantity of the toilets used, but also on that of the toilet itself. Now, the last two projects, I hope, demonstrate our commitment to beauty. We are intensely passionate about the buildings we design. Now, these drawings I make, take days upon days upon days. And they're done in order to try to understand the spaces we're making, but also to try and understand the contributions we're trying to make. Now, this building is a building in the Cedarburg National Park, and this building is a gallery addition. Now, they're both sensitive environments. But what I hope they show is that, or what I hope they demonstrate, is the passion, care, and generosity with which we hope to endow our buildings. Now, as I mentioned before, it's my firm belief that it is our generation which has been tasked with righting the injustices of the past. The political freedoms that were won in the elections of '94 must be accompanied by economic, social, and educational freedoms. We must achieve a closer alignment between city form and socio-political objectives. Our cities require the embrace of eager minds that care deeply about our own personal freedoms, but continually question the way we go about doing this, how we go about providing these freedoms. Now, to quote Abe Lincoln with inspiration and deep admiration from Ked Robertson, "The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, we must think anew and act anew." Now, acting anew and thinking anew are difficult things to do because they require us to let go of our faith. And that is a difficult thing to do. It's a very uncomfortable thing to do. But I also think it's a very important thing to do. We do this thing not because it is easy, we do this thing because it is hard. I also think we do this thing because it is very important in order to achieve the social justices that I think we all agree upon and that I think unite our generation. Thank you very much.